Today, it's your birthday. Yesterday was too, and so is tomorrow. Not sure what we mean by this? Let us introduce you to this powerful concept in our community. We are thrilled you have joined.
We are Helene and Christina, and our mission is to empower, teach, and remind women to celebrate themselves. Combined, we have over 35 years' experience as therapists in private practice. It was in the office, as well as in our personal relationships, we have been hearing women struggling and not feeling seen or alive during their messy middle stage of life. Curious how we define this stage of life? Or if you're experiencing it, go back to episode 2 in season 1. Today, we come to you not as your therapist, but rather two women in this life stage with you. We come to you as your friends. Our podcast promises to talk about the hard or uncomfortable topics in a way to empower you, laugh along the way as part of the healing, and find joy in life. We strive to find the meaning of the messy or unknown. What sets us apart? We leave you with gifts each and every episode. These may come in the form of actionable tools or strategies, invitations to be exactly where you are right now, or sometimes mic dropping thought provoking ideas.
Now that we're friends, let's make this official. We would love to help start your Thursday mornings, so make sure you follow the show wherever you're listening to us right now. Oh, and sign up for our free newsletter on yourbirthdaypodcast.com. Ready for some gifts like Christina just shared with you to start living your life how you want? Take the quiz on our website and gifts will be automatically dropped to your inbox.
This episode I'm so excited about because it comes from a place of love and passion from two women, us, who are at different parts of our lives and have struggled at times to see the gifts from and within our bodies. We also hear it all around us in media, our office, and even the women in our life circles. This episode is our pledge from the rooftops that if you are or you have been in a place of self-shaming your body, to stop and listen to this episode with an open heart. We really, really want you to be open and listen. Snuggle up in a warm blanket with your favorite sweatshirt and grab your favorite beverage. Picture Helene, our guest Lora, and I on that comfy couch with you as we all build up our bodies.
Christina and I felt so strongly about this episode that we invited an expert to join us. Lora Ulrich is a certified holistic nutritionist, a menopause and metabolism specialist, and an executive wellness coach with over 20 years' experience. Her passion is working and helping women. She is as real and down to earth as they come, and we are so honored to have her today. Before we introduce Lora, friends, this episode discusses gifts from your body and how we appreciate and honor it. However, the content shared here is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any eating disorders, body images concerns, or related mental health issues. If you are struggling with an eating disorder or distorted body image, we strongly encourage you to seek out the guidance from a licensed professional healthcare who specializes in these areas. Your health and well-being are important, and professional support can offer a path towards healing. We wanted to make sure you knew that before we dive in.
Lora, hello! Thank you so much for gifting your time to our audience. Helene and I are so excited and ready for this conversation. We want you to first tell us a bit about who you are, how you got into this field, and what do you love about what you do.
Thank you so much for inviting me onto your podcast, ladies. I'm really looking forward to spending the time here and sharing all of our nuggets with your audience. So as Helene said, I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, and I specialize in working with women, especially menopausal women, anywhere in the menopausal journey. So basically women 35 and above. And the reason why I am so passionate at what I do is because I grew up very, very sick. By the time I was 5 years old, we had an oxygen tank in my bedroom because I had really bad asthma. My father was tired of bringing me to the hospital all the time. I've had thyroid issues. I had radioactive iodine when I was 13. Let me back up on that one. When I was younger, I had an overactive thyroid, which we found out when they took my tonsils out in 5th grade. But as a young teenage girl, I found out very quickly that if I didn't take my medicine, I would be super skinny. Talk about like how sad for that little girl in me, right? So what happened was when I was 17, because I hadn't taken my medicine so many times, I'd ended up in the hospital. They gave me radioactive iodine, which completely zapped my thyroid. So I've had an underactive thyroid ever since I'm 17. So I'm 58 years old. I've been on thyroid medication for 41 years. I've had asthma, allergies, fibromyalgia before it was even a word. I had a liver disease. And then when I was 53, I had a total hysterectomy. They thought I had cancer, which gratefully I didn't, but they took everything, both tubes, both ovaries, uterus, cervix, etc. I've struggled with weight, all like struggled with health issues, physically, mentally, and spiritually, basically. And so I've done a lot of work and a lot of research in addition to me being trained in this area. I live it every day of my life. And so I know what it feels like to not feel good. And that's why I'm so passionate to work with women to be any part of their journey to help them feel their best and love their body as well. And a lot of women don't realize when I talk about loving their body, it isn't really the outward body, it's loving on their body so that they do feel better physically, mentally, and spiritually. So
Ooh,
Love
so that
that.
leads us to, well, if you've ever listened to our podcast, or if some of those of you are new to us, we usually end up saying, like, is this going to be an oomph, a hell yeah, or an oh shit episode? But I have a question for you, and I don't know if it's an oomph or an oh shit, but here we go. What would you say is the number one complaint that women come to you about their bodies?
the number one complaint,
Yes.
just
I know, is that
one.
an oh shit or an oomph? Yeah,
I know. I
yeah.
mean, there's lots, but what's the top one?
Right, what do
The
you
top
hear over and
one,
over again in 20 years?
the top one is their weight, especially their weight around the middle. So it's their weight and how they look.
Mm.
That's the number one thing is they're struggling with their weight, especially belly fat around the middle.
Wow.
Even if other people don't think they need to lose weight, right? In quotes.
Mm.
I have women all the time that they'll say, oh, my friends say this and I'm fine and la la la, but I think I'm still overweight. I don't feel good with my body. That's the number one issue. There are some more, but that's the number one.
Wow. What would you say the second is? I'm going to throw us off for a minute.
The second one I would say would be energy and fatigue.
Fair. Yeah.
Mm.
The third would be brain fog.
Yep.
And then it would be kind of like, I would say hormonal imbalance, but they are trying to figure out how to say it. And then also muscle loss.
Yeah. Wow. That's all very powerful. And it's, to me, all interrelated, right? Because if you're losing muscle, if your hormones are out of whack, it all goes back to weight. And
Mhm.
we're all focused on that. So I want you to give us the truth about BMI. Women are constantly checking their number. There's mixed research about like BMI is our standard, and a ton of research about how absolutely hurtful BMI is and how unrealistic it is. So we're hoping that you will give us the truth.
Yes, I will give you the truth. I think they need to get rid of that. So first of all, BMI is a totally outdated metric that was created in the 1830s by a mathematician that was studying population statistics, not individual health, right? It was never.
And was it a
designed-
man?
Of course it was.
Not that we're man bashing, but men should
Not that
not be
we're
calculating
man-bashing.
women's bodies.
Hello, they don't even understand. Even today, they don't understand. So we won't even get into that. But
Another episode. We might have you back.
another
Okay.
episode. It was never designed as a health indicator, and modern research shows that it has significant limitations. So the BMI fails us in several critical ways. It doesn't distinguish between muscle, bone, and fat tissue. So it shows clear biases across different body types, ethnicities, genders, age groups, and it's particularly problematic for menopausal women, as our bodies naturally change with hormonal shifts in ways that BMI simply cannot capture. So a major study found nearly half of people that are labeled, quote, overweight by BMI, and almost a third that are labeled obese by BMI were actually metabolically healthy according to clinical markers like blood pressure, cholesterol, etc. And so the consequences are very serious because BMI-based stigma can lead to inadequate health care, mental health impacts, and even avoidance of people going to get medical services because they don't want to hear that their BMI is too high, right? So more meaningful measurements are waist circumference, body composition analysis, cardiovascular fitness, and comprehensive lifestyle factors that are going to tell us way more about our health than BMI ever could. I mean, I know many like elite athletes that if we were to go by their BMI, they would be labeled overweight. They are not overweight. They're like 12% body fat. So yeah, that's the truth. And like I've seen firsthand how fixating on BMI can derail women's health journeys. And we really do need a more holistic approach that honors the complexity of our bodies, especially during significant hormonal transitions. So that's the truth.
I couldn't agree more. And, being somebody who's only 4'11", I've experienced that my entire life because my BMI shows I should be like 90 pounds. And my body is not built to be that. And I have a lot of muscle and I work out almost every day. Maybe not as hard as Helene. She definitely works out harder than I do, but it's not a competition. And, my labs come back great. My health is great. I'm active. I mean, just the other day, I skied for 4 hours with my kids and never stopped. Like a morbidly obese person who's unhealthy would not be able to do that.
No, at 90 pounds, even 4'11", you would not be healthy at 90 pounds.
No.
That's ridiculous.
No.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I love that. And I hope women hear loud and clear to fucking throw that number away because it's a lie.
Amen.
But Laura, how would they, so if the medical community, and again, I'm not saying this because I know, but if I were to give like an educational guess that it's a tool that's still used, if it is, and yet what we're learning from you is the impact highly negative on the mental health, the wellness health, like all the things, how do you encourage women to look past that or to have an open dialogue with their physician about it while still respecting the medical space, but also advocating for them to look at other markers like you just taught us that could be very helpful?
By having that conversation with their doctor. And I mean, possibly their doctor, is their doctor the right doctor? I mean, my doctor, my primary doctor, she's been in practice for decades. She's on her way out. She's almost retiring. She only works 2 days a week now. And she doesn't go by the BMI anymore at all. So I would say have that conversation with your physician about other alternatives to take a look at. And may ask yourself the question, is it time for a different doctor?
So if you could give our audience, Christina and I are huge about giving gifts, which could be really tangible or thought-provoking ideas. If you could share, if you feel comfortable, I know I'm putting you on the spot, maybe a line or a little bit of a script, what they might be able to say to their doctor so that they might be able to feel heard or understood, or just inviting them to explore other things other than the BMI. What would maybe be a question of how they could ask that?
You are putting me on the spot. So I would make sure that they're not saying, I read about this or I learned about this, because then their doctor might get defensive,
Defensive.
right?
Mhm.
Perhaps talk about how much muscle they have, or can we take a look at my sugar numbers, my glucose, my A1C. That's how I would do that.
Okay, so inviting them to explore other parts of the makeup of their biochemistry, not just the
Yes.
number, asking open-ended
Yes.
questions that way. Okay, I love that.
Yes, just in case. I mean, if they're old school and they haven't done new research, doctors, I mean, even I have people say, oh, I saw on the internet, and it's like, who put that on the internet?
Or I
Doctors
saw on
get really,
TikTok.
yeah,
Mhm.
doctors get really tired of hearing that. So we have to honor that as well. So keep it in the, what
Okay,
else can we do for me?
very helpful. I love that. Okay, so here's another, I think, big question. What in doing your work for over 20 years and being passionate about it from a personal space and then with all the women you have reached, what would you wish people, women specifically, we'll say people, but most of our audience right now is women, but if there's men listening, it might be for their partner, if their partner is a female. What do you wish women would think about their bodies?
So what I wish women would think about their bodies is that loving your body is not an outcome. It's an input. No matter what we're going through, what we've been through, our body is always there doing the best she can to keep us going. And so what I mean by that is that I wish that you ladies listening would recognize that your bodies are incredibly resilient systems, not problems to be fixed. So many women I work with view their bodies through a lens of criticism, focusing on what's wrong rather than appreciating the amazing work that their bodies are doing every day. And so, I mean, granted, is it okay for us to want better? Yes, but not through the lens of criticism, through the lens of how can I improve this, right? And during the menopause journey, right, anywhere from 35 to above, especially, I wish that women would see the changes not as failures, but as transitions, right? Your body isn't betraying you. It's adapting. Like, that gives me chills when I say that.
Well, I can
It,
see it in your eyes.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it-
I feel like we
Yes.
need to hit a rewind and say, can you just say it again?
Say
Say
that
it
all
again.
again.
Because that's so powerful.
I wish women would see that the changes are not failures, they're transitions. And that your body is not betraying you. It's adapting to a new phase, and it needs support and compassion during this phase, right? I also wish that they would stop comparing their bodies to others and stop comparing themselves to their younger self. I used to get stuck in that. Oh, it isn't how it used to be. Well, this is what it is today. We can't get what it used to be, right? And every body has its own unique timeline and journey, okay? And so I also wish that women would understand that how we speak to our body matters significant, like it matters in a big, big, big way. The critical internal dialogue that many of us have creates more stress hormones that actually work against our health goals. And when we approach our bodies with gratitude and respect, we create a better biochemical environment where healing and balance can happen. Now, granted, if we don't like the results that our body is giving us, our body is just doing its job based on the information that we're giving it. So there may be things that we can change on what we're eating, what we're not eating, all of those things, right? That's a totally separate issue. I'm not saying that if you love on your body and you have less stress, that all of your health issues will go away. It's just making sure to treat yourself like you would your kid or your girlfriend, right? Like, we would never talk to our kids or our friends or anybody the way we talk to ourselves.
Yeah.
So
I think overall, what I'm hearing you inviting our audience, and a great reminder for Christina and I will say,
Mhm.
is to allow the opportunity through transition
Mhm.
to be a space to have a very loving, open, and relationship with your body. Listen to it, honor it, hold space for it. You can have a relationship with it. And if you love on your kids or love on your colleagues or your sister or your mother, use that voice and that connection within your own self each and
mhm.
every phase that you're
Mhm.
going through. Because that we can control.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
we have power to do.
Well, and I think
Absolutely.
of how we so celebrate the body changes in pregnancy. And, I mean, it's a party every time, right? Till the end when we feel like we're going to burst. But it's still a party because in the end, you get this amazing present. And so, I get not all of the time and the heartache that comes with that, but for the majority. And so, what if we treated all of our body transitions that way as a celebration? I mean, think about, my daughter is 11, and so her menstrual cycle is on the horizon. And, we've been talking about how it's a celebration because it's a rite of passage in
Mhm.
her body. It's not a bad thing, it's not a scary thing. It means that her body is growing and evolving. And those are the conversations we have. And, I remember when I got mine, I was so scared. Like, I
Mhm.
remember just like running to the laundry room and laying on the floor crying because I was determined that like it meant I had to, like, move out of the house and everything, so everybody's like, you're a woman," and I was like, "I don't even know how to do division properly." I mean, maybe I did, I don't know. I was in middle school, but it's crazy, and so we just really tried to change that mentality in our house, and it's really challenging me to change that mentality of where my body is, because I've been so focused on making it positive for her, and I'm
Mhm.
probably modeling very differently for me. Like, I'm like, "Oh, look at these wrinkles. Here we go. My forehead's gonna look like your grandma." Like those kind of things. Sorry, mom. But, that's the stuff, and I've gotta change my mindset. So you're challenging me, and I hope our listeners, like, genuinely are hearing that. Like, we need to change how we're speaking about every transition of our bodies. It's
Other cultures, it's totally different, right? Women, you're right. We celebrate periods here. We celebrate, I mean, we literally celebrate pregnancy with a actual party, not
yeah.
just the party of the birth, right? And so getting older, respecting your elders, all those kind of things. I don't know what happened here, but and nobody, even when I was going through menopause 5 years ago, nobody was talking about it. Thankfully, more people and more
Mhm.
medical professionals that are women that are going through it themselves, they're speaking about it now because they were like, wait a second. They've been gaslighting their patients and now they realize, whoa, what's happening here? So
Mhm.
yes, you are absolutely right. And that's beautiful. I love what you're doing with your daughter. And yeah, what kind of behavior are we modeling? Not just, I
Mhm.
used to hate when my parents would like do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't work for my brain.
No.
Yeah.
So, following up on that, what are some things that you believe women can do to feel better on the outside? Not weight loss, but just in general, what can they do to feel better about their body on the outside?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, first of all, drinking a bunch of water. Water is very, very helpful. Proper hydration. Our skin will even look better. You know how it is when you look in the mirror and you don't feel good physically, it really correlates to how we think we feel mentally, right? I know when I look in the mirror and I don't feel good, I'm like, "Ugh," it's not a half empty kind of thing.
Mhm.
So water is very important. Moving our body, movement that brings joy is a game changer. Not punishing exercises you dread, right? But finding ways to move your body that makes you feel strong and capable. It releases endorphins that improve your mood and your appearance, even posture. right? I notice like if I see myself in a Zoom and I'm slouching, then it doesn't feel as good as when I have proper posture. Quality sleep, man, sleep is absolutely transformative for how women look and feel, because during sleep, that's when our body is actually repairing itself. And so good sleep helps with clear skin, brighter eyes, but also if we're not sleeping well, it's also increasing our cortisol, and it also causes us our insulin to store fat. So, I mean, there's all these different things, and truly thinking about nutrition as, is this food going to serve my body? Am I going to feel good, or is it going to deplete me? You know how sometimes if you eat a meal, even if like a Chinese food, right? You eat Chinese food and an hour later you're exhausted, right? Especially if you've eaten some rice because of all the sugar. So it's like really looking at your food, not necessarily, am I going to gain weight or lose weight? Forget about that. Am I going to feel good? Is it going to serve my body?
Yeah,
So those are some really good pointers.
that's powerful.
Okay. And this is kind of a follow-up to that as well. And I'm being cautiously careful as I ask this question because
Okay.
I don't think it's an absolute. I want our audience to hear that. But if you were to like cast a vision of what you see or experience in your 20 years of a woman who truly loves her body, like what does she look like? Both on the inside. What do you imagine if you could like look on the inside? Like who is she? And not that I'm saying our audience has to be her, but if we
Okay.
had a little bit of like an avatar, like who is she?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense.
Okay.
And there's some different ones, right? There's external signals and then like internal kind of things, right? So externally, a woman that loves her body, loves herself, right? I feel
Oh, I just
and
got
see
Yeah, me too.
when I
Yeah.
said loves herself,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Loves herself. I feel and see with myself and my clients that I've been working with for decades, she's more relaxed. She
Christine and I need to work on that.
I know
I
I'm
do.
type
I do.
I'm a type A New York Virgo, so sometimes I'm not relaxed myself. So, there's different facets of that, but she's
Okay.
more relaxed.
Helene
She has
too.
genuine smile that reaches her eyes, not just a smile on her face, but her eyes and her soul. And I know you ladies know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
She has direct eye contact with others because she's confident about herself and about others. She's loving on others. She's comfortable in the way that she's moving, the way her clothes fit her body. She's not hiding or punishing herself, and even possibly gestures that take up appropriate space rather than minimizing herself. That's external stuff, right? And so, because I've thought about this a lot in my years. And then internal manifestations of loving yourself would be how she speaks to herself, speaks about her body with respect rather than constant criticism. I've been working on that for so long. Perhaps she describes physical sensations with curiosity rather than judgment. And personally, me, being someone that has struggled with health issues for so long and so many, that's one that I'm constantly working on still. I catch myself going into bad habits of judging myself for a health issue rather than having curiosity on, is there anything that I can do about it? Right?
I was just going to say, can you give an example of saying something leaning into curiosity versus like judgment?
Yeah. So recently, just this past month, I had an issue with my thyroid medicine going bad. I switched thyroid medication. It was too much. I didn't feel good, etc. And so, especially because of what I do for a living, I was very hard on myself. I should have known better, yada, yada. So instead of that, it's like, okay, is there something else I can do? What's the next best thing? If it's somebody, should I talk to my doctor about how I feel instead of being upset about how you feel, right? It's like,
Mhm.
what can I do? Is there something that I can do? And what could that be? How could I make this work? How could I make myself feel better? Or what
Mhm.
steps can I take to have somebody else help me feel better?
I love that.
I love that.
I love that.
I love
And
that.
then I have a couple more that are super
Yeah.
important too.
Yes.
Can I
Yes.
share those?
Yeah.
So she makes health choices from a place of care, not punishment as well.
Mm.
And big one for us ladies, ready? Sets boundaries to protect her well-being.
Yes. Yes.
That's boundaries to protect her well-being. Can you expand just for a moment of what that is?
Absolutely. We do so often, we as women are doing all the things for everybody else to our own detriment, where we are now on empty.
Yep.
What do they tell you on an airplane? Put your oxygen mask on first before you even help your kid. If you can't breathe, you can't help anybody else. So setting boundaries, self-care and taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's so that you have more in the tank to help other people.
100%. I love that. And I think that goes back to the wisdom Helene has given in so many episodes of telling women they need to schedule the appointments for themselves before they can
Absolutely.
schedule everybody else's appointments. Like, women are always quick to make sure their kids' doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, orthodontist appointments, whatever is scheduled. And then they
Mhm.
forget themselves over and over and over again. I love that. I love that. So I think you maybe kind of answered this, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. If there's anything else you would add, what does self-care look like to you? If a woman is caring for herself, what does that look like to you? What would you add to that? The amazing gift that you just gave us with the last question. Anything you would add to that?
I don't know if I would add anything to it. Definitely taking time for you, right? We already talked about that. Oh, I have some. Taking small, deep breaths during the day. Like
Mm.
I literally had a breath coach once because I felt like I was not breathing properly. And I'm like, we breathe automatically. How am I not breathing properly? Literally taking focused, intentional belly breaths for 16 seconds to
Mhm.
calm yourself and give your brain some oxygen so you can think better.
Yes.
Another one that's really good and fun that I incorporated into my life is looking in the mirror and truly smiling. It may feel fake at first, but trust me, I've done it. It works. And then it will feel pure and honest. Smiling at yourself in the mirror, giving yourself a high five or
Mm.
you go girl or whatever, saying
Mhm.
something good to yourself and like just smiling in the mirror. And then
We do that as little girls and then we phase
yes,
out of it, but we need to continue it. And I think that goes back to the episode we did like a couple months ago on laughter and how children laugh. What was it, Helene? Like 200 times a day?
300 times
300
a
times a day.
day.
And adults only laugh like 20 times a day.
no.
So I love smiling at yourself in the mirror and laughing at yourself. Both of those are brilliant wisdom.
Yeah, love it. It feels funny at first if you're not used to it. And then I love it. Like I literally have it. I come down the stairs. I have a mirror right there before I go out the door, and I put it there on purpose to give myself a high five and a big smile and like, you go, girl.
You got this. Love
You
it.
get this.
Love it. That is such a great gift.
All right. So speaking of gifts, because we love it. And I think we've already given so many, but like Christina said, like, I'm going to ask the question anyways. What are some gifts that women can give themselves to truly, truly love who they are?
Mission to rest without guilt.
Okay, say
Mm.
that again, because I know everyone who's listening to us needs that one.
Permission. I give you all permission as well, but I would hope that you would give yourself permission to rest without guilt.
Mm.
Okay. So if we need to practice that, and even if you're in a space right now that you are not able to do that, but the future part of you is growing, right now you could say, okay, Lora said we're going to use you, Lora. Laura says,
Yes.
I have permission in this moment to rest without guilt. Like Laura's giving you the permission slip, use her for the next couple of weeks
Totally.
while you're
Absolutely.
practicing. Okay.
Absolutely. And remember, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. If rest in your mind means an hour and you only have 5 minutes, 5 minutes is resting. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. And we already talked about, like nutrient dense foods that are going to support your hormonal balance, because that's a big deal. Positive self-talk, professional support, whether it's a coach or a therapy session or a wellness practitioner, and also connecting with supportive women who uplift you rather than compete. So important.
Yeah.
And then letting go of comparison, like I said before, especially of our younger selves. We always talk about not having comparitis with other people, but I see so many women comparing themselves to their younger self, and we should let that go.
No, and the younger self was great. The current self is great, and the future self will be great.
Absolutely. And
They're all
there's
great. They're just different versions, and we evolve.
Yeah, different versions, different wisdom.
Oh,
All the things. I literally can tell, because I've been working with women now actually for almost 30 years in a professional space. And I can tell, I guess right on every time, what decade of their life they're in. Are they in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s? I can tell just by the things that they say and how they're acting.
I love that.
Yeah.
So even if they present to you in their 50s, when you start working with them, you may notice them maybe stuck or going back to their 30s. Is that what you mean?
No, what I mean, well, we can do that too, but what I mean is the older we get, we really do, we really are able to understand that we need to take care of ourselves more.
I love that. And hopefully
Truly.
people are learning
And
that before it's too late.
yes, and since you ladies have already cursed, it gives me permission. I can tell by what decade they're in that each decade you give a shit less about what other people think.
Sweet. Yeah.
It's
That's
true.
a gift.
I
That's a
think that
total-
switch, that
Yeah,
flip
right.
switched at 40, and it is not going back.
Right?
I
And then
really,
for me,
I'm like, oh, this person's getting pruned out of my life. Oh, well.
exactly. It gets better and it changes every decade. And I have women in my life that have always told me that, and it's so true. And then in the 50s, and I'm 58, I'm like, man, what else is that going to be when I'm finally in the 60s? I'll be like, who cares?
Right?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of fun.
That is so fun. Laura, this is powerful. And friends, we just want to thank you for gifting us this time to yourself and for the three of us to get to be with you. We really genuinely hope that you listen to this episode multiple times. I know I'm going to need to, and so I'm challenging you to do so as well. And we hope that you walk in today with your head a little lighter, your heart a little nicer to you, and an openness about your body and yourself. If you found this helpful, please share it with others. It's an episode that we all deserve to hear. Leaving us a positive review would mean so much to us. Don't forget to check out our gifts from the couch on Mondays. And you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Pinterest. But before we leave, Laura, we really want you to tell our audience where they can find you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And ladies, it was a pleasure hanging out with you today. So much fun. Okay, so my name is spelled Lora Ulrich, Lora Ulrich. You can find me on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, by my name. And then my website is my name as well, LoraUlrich.com. And I also have a gift for you ladies. You can download my Love Your Body Manifesto, which you'll find the link to that somewhere on the description of this podcast.
That's amazing, friends. Laura gave us a
Yay.
free gift on top of this episode. That's such a gift. Wow. Go download that manifesto ASAP. Read it, use it, let it build up who you are. And until next week, friends, happy birthday.